I've got some really big news for you guys today. The PTR has just dropped for February, and there are some pretty massive changes coming. So this was supposed to be the bug fix month. Well, there's a lot more than just bug fixes. There's obviously not new content coming, but I personally don't really care because the changes are new content in my mind. There are some pretty significant changes, like umbral shards as a reward for Outpost rush. Anybody? If you're on a server that can even do Outpost rush, actually. I mean, if you're a low pop server, I guess that's nothing. But there are lots of changes like that. So let me go ahead and pop some of this up. So this is the first post. Thank you for participating in the PTR. Help us knock out bugs, blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares. The public test realm download will be available starting today at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 p.m. for Europe, and 2 p.m. for, what is that, Western Time, Pacific Time, sorry. Pacific Time. So that is when the download will be available. It will actually open, though, tomorrow at 1 p.m. I kind of got ahead of myself on that one. It actually opens tomorrow, though. We can go ahead and start downloading it now. But it opens tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Europe, and 10 a.m. Pacific Time. And the main things they have done so far is player combat changes, outpost rush changes, and they have a bug fix wish list, which we'll get to at the end. There's 3 backstories, which is basically just pick your faction that you want to be part of. Okay, but then we get to these patch notes. Good gracious. Okay. So I've already read this once, and it's hard to try to summarize. There's just so much, guys. They fixed a bunch of random stuff. I'm going to link this in the description, by the way, so you guys can read this for yourself. So if you're sitting here and you're not happy that I'm reading every single word, I'm going to skip over a lot. So if you want to read every single word, definitely go for it, and I will have the link in the description for you, okay, below the first paragraph. So they changed some AI, made so collisions different now. I don't know, AI, better targeting, changed a bunch of stuff with enemies. Elemental bears, reduce the rate at which elemental bears regenerate stamina. You know, just tons of little enemy changes, stuff like that. And then we have Garden of Genesis, just increased the size of the Blighted Greenkeeper's headshot, hit volume, you know, whatever, you know, that this just small changes. The Lazarus Instrumentality Chartis got nerfed in some areas and buffed a little bit in others. You can read all through that if you want. His stun phase is longer, longer period of time before his first laser phase, blah, blah, blah. Lots of changes there. And then Mutators. They reduced the desiccated timer from 60 to 45, normalized curse damage to ensure that curses are always a threat to players of any size health pool, and censored damage normalized to 65% base health, and desiccated damage normalized to 50% base health. But now we get some more nitty-gritty stuff, some really good stuff here. So, combat, weapon swapping. You can now swap weapons during hit reactions, dodges, traversal, and while using consumables except for weapon coatings. This will not interrupt those actions, and there's a 1-second swap cooldown in these cases. Weapon swap buffers will no longer be canceled if you are staggered before the swap can occur. And weapon swaps and attacks can now be queued simultaneously. Blah, 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 blah. Note that actions will still have buffer and cancel windows. This changes makes them easier. So basically, hopefully weapon swapping will work now. Hopefully it'll work now and not do that thing where it doesn't swap weapons and all that. Now, it should... I'm not exactly sure how it's going to feel, but it should feel better, I would hope, based on what I read. Dodging and blocking. We have shortened the recovery time for all our dodges. Now, this is massive. This is, like, ridiculously huge thing to know about, okay? This is a big change. So, all dodges have shortened recovery time. I'm assuming even the little shimmy dodges, the medium armor's little sidestep dodge. Transitioning to movement after a dodge should feel more fluid for all players now. So why does this matter? Because I know that they've said previously that they're looking to remove the animation cancel cheat when you are using the light armor dodge, or any dodge for that matter. That's listed under a known issues page somewhere on these forums. So they do want to get rid of the animation cancel on the dodges. So this is like great news for me, because I was actually like, man, that animation cancel though makes the game feel so much more fluid. So I guess they're just going to implement that, hopefully. We'll see how this actually looks. But they're going to implement that into the actual game and just make that a normal feature for the dodges instead of having to have that weird recovery. Also, basic attack startups can now be dodged and blocked, cancel up to 2 frames before the active frame. So basically, if you're going to do a basic attack, right before it does the damage, you can actually just roll instead and just not even do it. And for projectiles, it's right before the projectile is spawned into the world, the frames for that. You can cancel it by dodging anywhere up until that. When performing light attacks with the melee weapon, block dodge inputs will now take priority over the next light attack in the chain. This will make it easier, so if you're like left-clicking like crazy and you want to change your mind and just dodge, you can just dodge. Makes it a little bit easier to react in PvP and stuff and whatever, to just react and then dodge. Also, jumping off lower height objects will no longer trigger a fully committed landing animation. That's going to be really nice, just as a quality of life thing. Also, they finally changed the 300 focus attribute bonus, so now the mana regeneration from it kicks in when you're at 15 mana or less, which makes way more sense, because hitting exactly zero mana was like impossible and never happened. Equipment load descriptions have been updated to include the amount of stamina consumed when dodging, which then made me go, wait, are they going to change how much stamina you use when dodging based on your equip load? Question mark? Doesn't it just use... Okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not thinking of something obvious, but that's what that sounds like, right? Am I... What? Do they use different amounts right now? Anyway, fix an issue where the strafe movement speed would vary based on equipment load. Because it's not supposed to. Bug fixes. I don't recall anything too crazy here, other than something I did not even know about. I don't think this one was in here. One of these somewhere, I think it was up above. Apparently you could stack camps on top of each other to climb into the air or something crazy. It was hilarious. Now we're getting to weapons, okay? So they fixed issues with rain of arrows doing things they weren't supposed to do. So indirectly nerfing bow, but not really because they were just bugs. And then, yeah, mainly just fixing bugs. No buffs for the bow. Sorry, bow guys. Nobody wants you in wars anymore, and it's just how life is. Sorry about that. I feel your pain, but I can't do anything for you. Fire staff. This is the big one, okay? This is one of the biggest changes coming to the balance changes, period. Fire staff's getting buffed like crazy. They increased the fireball projectile radius from 0.01 to 0.33 to make it easier to hit with, and fireballs can now crit again. So we are back to October or whatever, back when fireballs could crit. That right there alone is going to bring back your fireball users to some degree in wars and PvP. Reheat, fixed an issue where reheat could persist through weapon swaps and ability usage. Updated flamethrower and meteor shower to trigger reheat's 4-second timer when the ability exits. Pillar of Fire, reduce the delay between... This is a buff for Pillar of Fire, by the way. Reduce the delay between Pillar of Fire's activation and the spawning of its damage AoE. The Fire Pillar now spawns when the player finishes extending their staff forward, and they reduce the recovery by 14 frames. Also, Flamethrower got a movement speed buff. Now you move approximately twice as fast while using Flamethrower. And then fix an issue where the haste effect from the accelerating flamethrower perk was only triggering off of exactly 3 stacks and not 3 or more stacks. So that will be more consistent now too. So that ability is a little more usable now in PvP. Great Axe. Now a lot of you guys will be happy to hear this, and some of you will be miserable about this. Great Axe got nerfed again. So this time they made it so they reduced the vortex pull from Gravity Well to allow players a chance to escape. I'm not sure what that's going to look like, but that can't be anything but a nerf. They also, pulling force ends just before the vortex damage occurs to allow players a chance to escape by dodging. So in other words, it literally does no damage unless somebody follows up with another ability that roots you, because otherwise you can just spam dodge, I guess, and then the second that you get free, you'll just dodge and not take damage. So basically, unless someone follows up with you on the grav well with something to root someone, then it doesn't actually do any damage. So that's like a gigantic, unbelievable, massive nerf, unless I'm misreading this and misunderstanding this, which I may be. But that's how I thought I read that, so that made sense to me. Also, Enduring Strike, damage reduction provided this by this reduced, and then also they swapped the placement of the Frustration passive and the Keen Edge passives, and they're going to give everyone their respec, everyone a free respec. Because of that, you'll log in and you won't have anything, any perks or whatever you call them, ability thingies, attribute, whatever the hell they're called. Weapon Mastery points spec'd in. Hatchet. Fixed an issue where accumulated power and on-fire passive were not consistently triggering with hatchets that had perks with alternate damage sources. Probably not enough to bring hatchets back into wars very much. You'll see them here and there, but they're not like a super meta war thing. Just a few at most. Ice Gauntlet, though. Ice Gauntlet's getting nerfed, guys. So, Spiky Reach from Ice Spikes. Adjusted the projectiles fired from this upgrade to reduce the chance that a single target is hit with all 4 parts of the attack. Which... I did not realize that that's what makes that ability do like 9,000 damage, is you actually are getting hit 4 times by it, basically. Now I understand. I actually am not an Ice Mage person. I didn't understand that's why that was doing so much damage. Now it's going to be much harder to line that up on someone and actually get that kind of damage. Ice Storm, you can no longer stack them by getting different perks from the other guy who's using it. So that will make them not the #1 thing necessary. Right now, Ice Gauntlets were the #1 thing that you had to have in wars. Mainly just because you could stack Ice Storm. Just that alone was like a must-have for clearing point and getting spikes, as people call them, you know, AoEs on targets. And then added clarification on tooltip state that will only increase Ice Storm's damage for punishing Storm. Ice Shower fixed. Ice Shower got a little bit buffed in some ways, though. People can't just dodge straight through it and not get rooted and stuff. And then Ice Pylon increased the AoE from Pylon Burst from 3 meter radius, or to 3 meter radius from 1. So now it's a little bit easier to hit. Still probably a bad ability. Now this one is low-key insane, but definitely worth a mention. This Life Staff got us a buff for Beacon. So what happens now, it's first they fixed the bug where it would not apply to the caster if their weapon was sheathed, but this is the important part. Haste applied by Speed of Light will now apply to all targets within the AoE, not just allies who are healed. So now you can use Speed of Light aggressively. And this is really going to matter in open world PvP, Outpost Rush, and small skirmishes off to the sides inside of wars. And the reason being, now if you and everyone around you are full health and you are trying to chase somebody down, you don't need them to do damage to you for you to get your haste. You can just haste up and chase them down. So that's a pretty significant change for chasing people down. Musket, I don't understand this one at all. Actually, let me see this first one. Fixed an issue where sticky bombs crit damage was not increased when the crit damage numbers would appear. Criticality will set 273% weapon damage. But then they reduced sticky bomb's base damage. Like, why? You can just iframe sticky bomb even if it sticks you. It's like one of the stupidest abilities in the game. Maybe for PvE though, I don't know. Maybe it was unbalanced for PvE. I don't know. So that's weird. Shooter stance fixed bugs, and that makes it basically nerfs, but mainly fixing bugs. And then stopping power rework. Now it just knocks people back, and the cooldown's increased, and can be fired from aim down sights or hip fire. Maybe I'm misunderstanding that. If you are a musket guy, you'll want to spend more time reading this than me. I'm not a musket guy, so I might have a lot of this wrong. Potentially, I think I got it right, but you just never know sometimes when you're not someone who uses this stuff. Powder burn and powder shot. Loaded shots can now be overwritten. Activating one's ability to load a shot while the other is already loaded will replace the previous loaded shot with the new shot, so you can't double them up. Rapier got some bug fixes, but nothing crazy. Spear got some bug fixes, but nothing crazy. Sword and shield got some changes, though. Shield Rush got buffed. The hitbox ability has been moved closer to the player to prevent situations where the ability could hit targets that appeared to be out of range. But to compensate, they've increased the range. So you just straight up go further with Shield Rush. So it's going to effectively be the exact same thing as before, but now you can actually move further, so it should help you to use it as an escape. And I don't know how much of an impact it'll have, really, but it is a buff. Reverse Stab, this upgrade will no longer, or Tactician, this upgrade will no longer reduce the cooldown of Reverse Stab. It will still reduce the cooldown of other sword abilities when triggered. Leaping Strike and attacking portions of ability now have separate properties for their homing and movement in order to improve the overall accuracy based on distance. So Leaping Strike got a buff just because it's better at hitting targets now. Void Gauntlet, they got rid of the bug where it would reduce, where the Mending Evasion passive would reset your lowest active cooldown. So that's huge. I think that was one thing making Void Gauntlets totally OP. They're still super OP, but that helps a little bit. Warhammer got nerfed. The damage reduction provided from the Hardened Steel passive got nerfed. And Empowering Armor Breaker, they fixed an issue where the perk was applying to all hits for 5 seconds. It's only supposed to apply to the initial hit, so that got nerfed. So that's nerfs. And then weapon perk changes. There wasn't anything too crazy in here, I don't think. I'm looking through again. Aversion. Fixed an issue, elemental and physical aversion perks were not stacking properly, so that's almost like a buff and a way just by fixing. This is important. War and Invasion. This is important, guys. Players can now access the scoreboard while waiting for a respawn in Wars and Invasions. Oh my goodness, so glad that I don't have to sit there for 45 seconds just waiting and feeling bad that I died. I can actually do something. I can look, I can call out who's dead, I can call out, I can do something. I don't know, at least there's something to do. And then fix an issue where Cleansing Elixir was removing, but not properly preventing the reapplication of debuffs during its duration. So Cleansing Elixir got a buff indirectly. Also, Void Destroyer now is going to die when you destroy both eyes. They say fixed issue, but I'm pretty sure it was working as intended, and they've just changed how it works, right? So before, you knock out both eyes, and it just sits there with like half its HP left. Now, if you get the eyes first, then it'll just die. So I think it was working as intended, and they don't want to say that they changed their mind for some reason, but they just changed their mind and decided to make it die when you get the eyes. Now we get to the biggest changes of the entire patch notes, in my opinion, though. All that stuff, some of that stuff was huge, but the Outpost Rush one is even bigger. The Outpost Rush one is absolutely massive. So they've changed a bunch of different things. They've changed, enemies and stuff, whatever. That stuff's not important. They reworked the scoring. This is the first big thing. Dealing damage now increases the player's score. So now DPS players can actually rank over healers, potentially, if they farm the crap out of enemies. Reduce the amount of points from getting player kills, so sniping kills is not going to matter as much, and getting AI kills is not going to give as many points. They visually changed a bunch of stuff. Increased health of this, reduced health of brutes by 10%, reduced health of corrupted brute by 13%. And then they also made summons take more damage from siege, which makes siege actually kind of have a purpose now in OPR, which is a really interesting change. It's basically a giant rework for Outpost Rush is what we're going to see this cycle. There's a lot of stuff in here. They increase the base damage of the repeater. They increase the damage of the fire dropper. They increase the they increase the benefit of having more friendly players on a control point. Used to be each friendly player was reducing the amount of time it took by 1.5. Now it's 3 seconds, and it maxes out at 10 players. So now the minimum capture time if you have 10 players is 30 seconds. So that is a point to stand on the point. If you actually have people stand on the point, it actually matters now. Also, they reduced the length of the score lock from 3 minutes to 2.5 for the Baroness, because it was kind of too strong. Replaced the explosive barrel launcher on either sides of Outpost Soul with ballista turrets. And then, let's see. The other biggest thing. Now, here's the number one thing. In my opinion, this is the biggest thing in the entire patch notes. If you are on a server where you can actually play Outpost Rush. Which, by the way, they really need to add cross-server Outpost Rush for you guys who are on like 300 pop servers and stuff. Come on. Anyway, Outpost Rush now rewards umbral shards on completion of a match. 100 shards for the winning team and 50 shards to the losing team. Players must meet the minimum score threshold to be eligible for this reward. I am super thrilled to see this. I think this makes sense. Literally giving us any option other than killing monsters to get umbral shards is a win for me. No matter how long it takes, just having an option to not have to kill monsters is a godsend. So, for me personally, love it. I think it's great. Also, Outpost Rush now rewards faction tokens on completion of a match, which will help you guys to keep up with your buying your orbs from the faction shop, even if you don't do influence battles. And then Outpost Rush caches now reward 2 pieces of Outpost Rush specific armor and an Outpost Rush specific weapon. There's an additional 15% chance for a 4th item, which is a piece of Outpost Rush jewelry. And there's a 2.5% chance that you'll get a named item. And they significantly increase the likelihood that rewards in the Outpost Rush cache will increase your expertise. So now OPR is a great way to get your expertise up to 600 so you can start working on your Umbral Shards upgrades. Outpost Rush gear now rolls off a fixed list of perks. So now Outpost Rush gear will only give PvP perks and not stuff like Beast Ward. And then they removed Beast Ward from Illusory Enigma and replaced it with Keen. But this change is not retroactive. It will only apply to new Illusory Enigmas granted. And then players can now access a scoreboard away for respawn and OPR as well. Quests, they improvements to the 3rd fishing quest. Wow. And then War Camp Loot PvP faction missions reset when fast traveling. And then nothing too insane here. This is a pretty important one. Leveling for Arcana, Armoring, Engineering, Furnishing, Jewel Crafting, and Weaponsmithing trade skills now require 10% less XP. So nothing too crazy, but hey, we'll take it. That's cool. I'm down for that. And then, let's see. I don't think any of this mattered. Yeah, that's fine. Unless you're into housing. There's something for you. 2 missing housing items have been added. And then several Tier 5 weapon schematics were incorrectly displaying legendary rarity, even though they weren't. Here are the items. If you guys want to read, you could pause the video and read this, but I'm going to go ahead and move on. They employed new measures to reduce the effectiveness of fishing bots. Let's go. Hopefully it works. And for the gypsum, yellow topaz gypsum no longer has a minimum drop time. So now you can just farm strange boar probably and get all of it real fast, I would hope. And then black and purple gypsum also had reductions in the minimum drop times as well. And then aptitude leveling. Smelter crafting gear has been added to the game. That is a pretty gigantic change all in and of itself. And also drop a vicious Azoth now drop from armor and altitude boxes. Also, we got notable fixes. Weapons not salvaging to the correct thing. I don't think there was anything too crazy. I'm like double checking. I remember reading this, but I don't remember anything standing out to me in here. So you guys can read it for yourself. They created a trade chat channel. That's pretty big. So that's important to know. And then players can now see both friendly and enemy progress towards the brute at the corrupted portal and Outpost Rush. And the crafting should no longer select the first recipe if you quickly select another recipe while it is opening. And then notable fixes. Players can no longer attempt to schedule their siege windows during a maintenance window. I didn't know it was a thing, but that's really funny. I'm sure people were abusing that. And then I don't recall anything else too crazy in here. So I think that was all. I'm looking one more time. Nope, that was pretty much it. So that is the patch notes for the PTR. But this is only patch 1. There's going to be more changes coming. And why is that important? If you are still watching this video at this point, there's something you need to know about, okay? This is your chance. This month is your chance to give input and feedback. Now, will they listen? I'd give it about like a 3 to 5% chance, maybe, okay? Because there's going to be so much feedback. But, big but here, big buts, okay? There's focused feedback reporting for each of the 3 categories. There's Outpost Rush changes. You guys can go to the Outpost. You can go and give. Okay, it's not this actual page, but they want Outpost Rush feedback, and they have tips on how to give high quality feedback. I'll link this post and every post I show you. I'm going to link down in the description. Okay. There's one for player combat changes, and they want you to give feedback. Although I guess not in this exact post. And then the other one is bug fix wish list, which I'm not exactly sure where they want you to put this stuff. Like if I go to PTR, public test realm, is it not unlocked? I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet, guys. But the main thing is, once this is here and we're doing the PTR and stuff, if you really want to see changes, you need to go to the forums and you need to complain about what you want to see different. Okay, you say this should be this way. This should be this way. Please, somebody go complain and say, let us use umbral shards without having our expertise at 600. Somebody, because I'm not gonna do it, but. You know, you need to go there now. This is your chance to try to get little things added during February, because February is when they're looking to just fix lots of little things, change things, tweak things, whatever. So now is the time to suggest some little fixes to various systems in the game. So that is the PTR for February. Those are the major changes coming so far. When they add more stuff to the PTR, which they are going to, because it's probably going to be another 4-week cycle like last time. When they add more to the PTR, I will keep you guys updated, okay? I know right now, at the time I made this video, I'm posting a lot of Pokemon Arceus content, and don't worry, I'm still posting New World content. It's just, right now I'm really focused on news, updates, stuff like this, and when I'm not doing this, I've got a lot of games to work on in February. But every time there's new updates and news for New World, or any critical things to talk about, I will be posting videos about it. Now, I personally am excited about the OPR changes more than anything, and some of those combat changes, like, the Fire Mage buffs and stuff like that. We're going to see a lot more Fire Mages and Wars and stuff, so I'm pretty excited about that. I think overall, it's going to be a good month for updates. A lot of these updates look really good. Some things were questionable, but most of it looked pretty good. And they're not done yet. They still got a lot to do. So definitely, like I said, give your feedback constructively, please. Don't go in there and, you know, be a jerk. Go in there and, you know, just constructive feedback. That's really all you can do to try to get changes done. So go into the forums and go to the PTR like they want, and go ahead and say what you would like to see tweaked or changed or whatever. And please tell them that they need to make it so you can upgrade with umbral shards without having your expertise to 600. Please, God. Sorry. Okay. That's the only thing I want. That's literally the only thing. That's my ask. But anyway, you guys each have your own asks that you want. So go ahead and ask for them and hope for the best. We got all of February for them to add things to the PTR, and let's hope that they add the things that we want. But that is what they're looking at right now. That is what is in the PTR tomorrow. And like I said, there's more to come in the future patches. I'm sure that's how it worked in January. That's how it's going to work in February. But now you know what's coming to the PTR, at least for now, in New World.